Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Ask Me Anything. You know I love doing these, right? Feel free to put a question in the comments. If you're one of my Patreon subscribers or YouTube members, you are guaranteed to have your question answered. A lot of people sent those in ahead of time. We're going to get through those. But even if you're not a Patreon subscriber or a YouTube member, you should still be putting questions in the comments. And I'll get through as many as I can. The other thing I'm going to do today is in the second half of the stream, I'm going to listen to your music. A bunch of my YouTube members and Patreon subscribers sent me original music of theirs. I'm going to listen to it and try to give a critique. And my goal is to have the critique be like friendly and constructive. But we'll see, because my personality is not always described as friendly and constructive. So we'll see how it goes. Good evening from a blazingly sunny evening in UK, and good evening to you too, sir. Good evening to you too. All right, I'm going to dive right in with some questions that were sent in ahead of time. And I always like to give myself a good softball to start. I try to answer the hard questions as time goes on, but I like to start with like some real Mickey Mouse shit. So here we go. This one is from Swizz871. I love it when like the username reminds me of like AOL, like 25 years ago. And Swizz871 has like major AOL energy. Okay, question is, what's your go-to karaoke song? My go-to is Don't Do Me Like That by Tom Petty. This is a song I can sing in any condition. I have others I like to do. Hurt So Good by John Mellencamp is a big one I like to do. But like, I either need to be at a high-tech karaoke place where I can like push that down 2 half steps, or I just like really need to be training my voice and I like need to be like, taking care of myself to sing something like that. In general, my karaoke go-tos are like, like vulnerable tough guy songs, the way like Don't Do Me Like That is one of those. Like, like the tough guy who's like getting a little emotional. And I consider Hurt So Good to be like the greatest song of that style ever written. I love that song. Sometimes when people ask me what my favorite song of all time is, I say that. Okay, yeah, so those are my go-tos. I can do I'm Just a Gigolo by David Lee Roth. That'll be my like set closer. You know what I mean? If I do that, it's like a little bit hard for me to take it any higher afterward. Also, Private Eyes by Hall & Oates I can do sometimes. I feel like that gives you some idea. Thanks for the great question. Here's a non-question. Just wanted to let you know how much love and keep up the great... Thank you for that, Sith Lord bassist. Thank you. Okay. Let me know how life is going on the dark side for the bassists of the world. Fancy by Iggy Azalea, because no one has high expectations for that. I don't totally understand the subtext of that. Is that because no one has high expectations for the material of Iggy Azalea, or is it because no one has high expectations for you when you attempt to do it? I'm not really sure what side of that I'm supposed to interpret, but okay. Do you ever croon? No. No, I don't. I don't think I croon. If it sounds like I'm crooning, I'd have to think about how that makes me feel, because that's like not my goal. My goal is to just sound like a guy who's like basically doing it. You know what I mean? Like, just to sound like a guy who means what he says. To make it seem like the lyrics coming out of my mouth are basically true. I would love to do that. Notice also that it's a modest goal. You know what I mean? That's like a smaller goal, I think, than like, I bet that guy could win American Idol, or like, I bet that guy's probably the greatest singer in the world. You know what I mean? Those are not my goals so much. Favorite synth right now? I clicked on it twice. Where'd it go? Hey, what's up, Emily? Do a kickflip. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do a kickflip. I'm glad to see you've like fully absorbed the like misogynistic hate that has been blasted at you constantly for all these years. I'm glad they finally got to you. And now you just show up on other people's live streams and make demands. I knew it was only a matter of time, Emily. I've been rooting for you this whole time. Okay. No goal of being seductive. Oh, interesting. I want to address that. I have this crazy theory that like if you do the other thing you set out to do and you can just sort of like nail it, that's seductive. But if you like walk out and you're like, remember, we said we were going to try to be seductive, I'd be impressed if that actually works out. So you can't be thinking that. You have to just think like, I'm just going to try to be effectual and see how far that gets you. All right, favorite synth right now. I always use the OP1. That's like the synth I use the most and the one I know the most. But I did recently get this. I did recently get the replay from Von Gogh. I never know how to say. I avoid saying that brand name in my videos. Is it Von Gogh or Von Gogh? And keep in mind that even if you tell me, it will make no difference because I will instantly forget. I've been told innumerable times how to pronounce it, and I just never retain it. So the replay synth I'm really into. It's turned up in a couple videos, but I'm going to be using it more. I have a video in the very early stages that's going to be about how to use randomness. The video is going to be called like randomness, how to be creative or something like that. It's just going to be about like if you have gear or synthesizers that has random parameters, like how do you make it sound good and not just like, oh, that guy pushed the random button, and the replay synth is going to be in that. All right. I also wanted to address this. My bro, sending you crazy, freaky, hyper-masculine energy. We always get there eventually on these things, but this might be a record for how quickly we got to it. So I appreciate that. Thank you, Philip. Thank you for making sure we got to it right at the top of the live stream this time. I appreciate it. Look at this. How long can I store raw chicken in the fridge? We are on day 3 and I have limited dinner options. Listen, man, what do you want me to say? I never understand. Like, do you think that the question is funny? Like, do you think that now that I put your question on the Kiss Cam, you think everyone's like, oh, wow, Billy Evil is really funny. When can we watch the Billy Evil Netflix stand-up special? Or is it the expectation that, like, I can make it funny? Do you think that you're throwing me a softball pitch? Is that what you think you're doing? Because you don't really need to try to do that. You know what I mean? Like I've got enough of my material. It's as funny as it is. People you can judge for yourselves how funny my regular shit is. But I'm a little surprised that if you think that this is like what a guy needs to tell the funniest joke he's ever told in his life. Yeah, what do you want me to say, man? I smell it. Smell it, and if it makes you want to barf, then don't cook it, okay? And if it smells like normal raw chicken, then just like cook it and stop overthinking it. Do you consider lunch and dinner food separate? Doing my best to keep the insanity in the check. I appreciate. See, this is my kind of guy right here. Stone. First of all, name is Stone. Okay, provocative. My middle name is actually Stone. My full name is Ivan Stone Anderson. That's not a joke. I didn't change it to that. That's the name I was given, Ivan Stone Anderson. But I like how you explain in parentheses. See, this guy must have seen a live stream before. He's like, Ivan, I know you get a little worked up about like what is the agenda behind the question, And so there's no issue here. He explains it, and I appreciate the agenda. Just trying to keep the insanity in the chat going strong. Thank you for that. This guy is my guy here. Do I consider lunch and dinner food separate? I've never thought about this before. I'm not sure how interesting it's going to be for me to give my take on this. Perhaps not. Is there anything for dinner that I wouldn't eat for lunch? I don't know. I think there are a couple dinners that maybe couldn't be lunch, but I don't really eat those. You know what I mean? Like a casserole, or like some like a fucking hardcore meatloaf that's not fucking around. But I don't really eat dinners like that. That's sort of like Heartland stuff. You know what I mean? That's like what John Mellencamp eats for dinner. I'm not like I grew up in New Jersey. Like I didn't really eat a lot of casseroles. So I feel like that for lunch is like, basically you're killing yourself, but I don't really have things like that for lunch. Okay, so there's no, not the replay, LOL. What's the problem with the replay? It's butt. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I disagree, but I also think that like using gear that's bad is like good for you. You know what I mean? I don't know if maybe you've like never seen any of my YouTube videos, you know? Maybe you've literally seen 0 seconds of any of my YouTube shit and you just decided to start with this live stream. But in general, I think like gear that's bad is like maybe good because then it sort of forces you to think about what you're really trying to do, and it like forces you to listen to what it's bad at and then try to imagine something that could be good. And I think that's usually a good exercise. So gear that's truly bad is stuff that like I think has very little tweakability and is giving you like a very uninteresting, cheesy sound to start with, you know? That's what I think bad gear is. And I don't like truly bad, not bad as good bad, like the bad that cannot be good. And I don't think the replay is doing that. Thanks for your vid on the slicer and PS6 harmonist. Helped me out a lot. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm using a Beat Buddy for live drums. What are you using for drums when you play live? Also, are you a Butthole Surfers fan? Don't know the Butthole Surfers super well, but I got nothing against them. I hire a drummer when I play live. The Cyber Attack live band is a band, and there's no backing tracks. It's like I hire a drummer and a bassist and a keyboard player. I love how people come into Emily's comments and pretend to not understand the joke just so they can mansplain guitar. Hilarious, and by hilarious, I mean unoriginal. Yes, I agree. All right, let me go back to... there's too many comments here. I'm too far behind. This always happens. Here's what I'm going to put on the screen just because I've been getting this a lot lately. Have you ever considered using the data corruptor by Earthquaker Devices? Yes, I have it, and I've used it. There's a song on my first record. I release music as Cyber Attack too. Like, it's not just gear videos on a YouTube channel. There's also like Cyber Attack original music on Spotify and Bandcamp and everywhere. And the first Cyber Attack album is called Hard Feelings, and the first song on it is a song called Sure Thing, and that song uses a lot of Data Corruptor and a lot of Bit Commander, two Earthquaker Devices pedals side by side on that track. And also in the song Scared Out of My Mind, there's some Bit Commander. I'm unlikely to make a video that's just about the Data Corruptor because I'm unlikely to make a video that's just about one pedal ever again. Those pedals don't do so well for me anymore, and they're also harder to make. So the stuff where I'm like, here's how bit crushing works, and here's 5 different pedals, or more than 5. Here's a bunch of different pedals that I can use while I'm talking about bit crushing, or here's a video that's about fuzz, and here's a bunch of different pedals I can use while I'm talking about fuzz. That's the future of this channel. I'm sorry if that's disappointing to you. Boss recently put out a brand new delay pedal called the SDE3, and I got one ahead of time, and so I was like one of the guys that had a video about it on the day of the release, and this was Boss. There was a time when having a release date Boss video brought in the best traffic my channel ever gets. When the Slicer came out, and the Slicer came out on my birthday, which was cool. It was just a coincidence. But when the Slicer came out 2 years ago, I had one on the day of the release, and I had a release video about it, and it like did the best. That was like the best video I'd ever put out in terms of first day traffic to that point. Because like my channel wasn't that big, and Boss is the biggest pedal company in the world, and so people searching for a Boss product, gives me a lot. Things have changed, and my channel has grown enough so that that's no longer the case. The release day Boss video I did, like, it did not set any records. In fact, it underperformed a little bit. Whereas, like, if I make a video that's just about how effects loops work, and I talk about a bunch of different pedals, that performs much better. So I could maybe bring a data corruptor into a video, but I'm not going to make a video that's like 5 pro tips for using the data corruptor anytime soon. And I'm not going to do that for any pedal. They just don't do that well. Okay, cool. All right, let me go back to the backlog. Here's a good one. Okay, this is from Oh You're So Silent Jens, or Jens. I'm a little insecure about pronouncing this person's name. What bands from New Jersey have made you proud in the last decade? How would you describe a generalized NJ sound these days? Yeah, this question did not give me anxiety, We all know that I can't shut up about New Jersey and how New Jersey is the homeland. We've all heard me talk about that nonstop. It couldn't possibly be just because the only New Jersey music I listen to is from a million fucking years ago, right? Like, it cannot be the case that my entire relationship with the music of New Jersey is still Bruce Springsteen and Frankie Valli and fucking olds, you know, Whitney Houston, dearly departed. No, it cannot possibly be the case that I had to like type in new New Jersey rock bands at NJ.com earlier today just to prepare to be able to answer this question on the live stream. No. No, New Jersey's the motherland, and questions like this do not freak me out at all, and I'm very happy to be able to address this in detail, indicating how authentic my relationship with New Jersey is. Cool. Got it, right, okay, so who are the more recent New Jersey acts that I like? There's a guy called Fatboy Sharif that I appreciate. He did recently put out an EP called Insomniac Missile Launcher. And I just feel like if you're on my live stream, like if you like the cybertech bullshit, it should be obvious to you at this point why Insomniac Missile Launcher is going to be up your alley. So Fatboy Sharif, I don't know his stuff super well, but what I've heard I liked. Sometimes I feel like stuff like that is what I would do if I was not a pussy. So he's in there. Then another one is Nicole Atkins. She's new to me. You know, she's like not... She's been doing her thing for a little while, but she's extremely talented, very cool, very good voice, cool material. The videos are cool, the vibe is strong. So Nicole Atkins is an answer to this. And then I'm also, I don't know if she's still here, but I was actually going to talk about Emily Hopkins, who I know is not from New Jersey. Don't chill the fuck out, all right? I know that Emily Hopkins is not from New Jersey. She's from Long Island, which is not New Jersey. But every time we hang out, I do feel like we're just from similar worlds, you know. Like there is a tense history between Long Island and New Jersey, like both oppressed suburbs of New York City that are like forced to contend in the shadows of New York, you know. But I feel like I just when I'm like hanging out with Emily, like I feel like she just says like she uses the F word the way I use the F word, you know what I mean? It's like shit like that where I'm just like we're not. Long Island and New Jersey are like not so completely separate anymore. So I feel she kind of reminds me of my hometown in a little bit. Pete Yorn is from New Jersey. I don't even know who that is. I know who Pete Thorne is. I didn't think he was from NJ. Who the fuck is Pete Yorn? All right, cool. Jersey Boys, my favorite musical. I like the Four Seasons, but the recent footage of Frankie Valli being on stage is, you know, it's very upsetting. You know, he looks like a monster in a David Lynch movie. You know, he looks like the monster man that like steps out from behind the dumpster in Mulholland Drive. Like, I don't know who the people are that are sending that man on stage. Like, they must be making a lot of fucking money to overcome the like very clear, visceral sense everyone has when you look at Frankie Valli perform for 2 seconds that this is elder abuse. You know, that said, I love him, and if this is what he has to do, you know, then I wish him the best. Do you have a take on gear tubers in general and the endless promotion of gear, not lumping you in with anyone as I love your how-tos and music? They are a total breath of fresh air for me. Thank you for that. Here's another one who felt the need to like explain their agenda in parentheses at the end of their question. You know, at times like this, I wonder if I've been a little too hard on you guys. You know, like it seems like a trauma response. Like in parentheses, please don't be insulted. I do love you, sir. Like you know what I mean? It makes me wonder if I've like been gratuitously insulted in some of these previous live streams. You know, maybe I'm like too eager to fight. You know, I'll take that into advisement. Do I have a take on gear tubers in general? You know, not really. You know, I mean, I'm glad that like this is a thing that exists. Like, I'm glad that you can sort of, like, have a music career in part by talking about gear on YouTube. You know what I mean? It's, like, a lot harder to have a music career by, like, selling records. You know what I mean? Like, you got to sell a lot of CDs at this point. You know what I mean? To, like, have 2 pennies to rub together. So I'm glad there's, like, other stuff you can do, like having a YouTube channel. You know, I don't think everybody's gear videos is equally cool. And the way I make my gear videos, like I think it's kind of obvious what I think is cool. You know what I mean? Like I stick some animations in there. I talk about my original music. I talk about ways to do stuff that's like different and unusual. Like you could sort of tell what my priorities are, like artistically, from the gear videos I make. So like that's what I think a cool gear video is. But I don't get worked up about GearTube in particular. And I actually very specifically think that some of the backlash against this, it's so annoying when a new piece of gear comes out and then all the YouTubers have a video about it on the same day. You know, people really seem to think that's obnoxious or something. And I think that's just a nonsensical thing to be upset about. Like, I really do not think it makes sense to get worked up about the fact that, like, when a new thing comes out, all the YouTubers have a video about it the moment it comes out. Like, the reason that happens isn't because a bunch of YouTubers are, like, being annoying. The reason it happens is that if you are a manufacturer of music gear, you have to send your gear to stores. And you don't want any store to get it and start selling it before the other stores can, right? Like you don't want the stores in like the state that's near you to have an advantage over the states that are far from you. You want to have a good relationship with all the stores, right? So you don't want anyone to be able to sell the thing before everyone else gets a chance to sell the thing. So as you're sending the gear to the music stores, you got to say to everybody, hey, please don't start selling this until everybody gets it. And I'm going to set an embargo date. So nobody can sell it until all the stores have it. That way everybody is like, I have a good relationship with all my vendors, okay? But like, don't even talk about it either, right? Because even if you're not selling it, if you like start to take pre-orders or you start to hype it up, you could still sort of end up getting an advantage over the stores that haven't even gotten it yet. So like, just to sort of keep all the stores together, like we got to sort of all say go at the same time. That's where it comes from. So the YouTubers also have to play by the same rules. That's why everybody's video comes out at the same second. It has to do with the manufacturers running their businesses a certain way. It's got nothing to do with YouTubers like being annoying. People do annoying stuff on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. Like in the world of influencers, there's like all kinds of annoying shit that's happening. Like there's a lot we could be alarmed about. You know, but the fact that like everybody who's going to review the like new Fender guitar has their video get posted at like 1 p.m. on the exact same day, like if this is what is bothering you, then you have a very good life. Okay, let's keep moving. I 100% bought the Sidestep because of this channel and never even heard of it before. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Sidestep rules my life. I'm glad you're into it. Noise rock is kind of a loose genre. Sonic Youth, Shellac, Jesus Littered, etc. But they sonically kind of fit together. Are these bands that use noise that don't fit into the noise rock genre? I talk about noise a lot, and like it ends up being sort of a big part of my YouTube channel. But 90% of my influence in this is from Nine Inch Nails. Like I love Nine Inch Nails. I've always loved Nine Inch Nails. I've seen Nine Inch Nails. Like that band is like hugely important to me, and that's where most of my shit in this direction comes from. I'm also into Melt Banana. That's like the other hardcore one, you know? Although I feel like at this point everybody knows about Melt Banana, and like I don't know how much like cachet I get from being able to name 2 noise bands, you know what I mean? But that's from most of what I know about. Okay. Hey, is there a chance that I could at some point in the future pay you for a private lesson? The answer is yes. Yeah, I mean, I give lessons on Zoom. So the answer is yes. In fact, you don't even sort of need to like couch it this delicately or like this hypothetically. Like I give Zoom guitar lessons all the time. Just send me an email. You know, we can talk about doing Zoom lessons whenever you want. Cool. All right. Let's keep going. I did the New Jersey question that was not terrifying. Oh, here's one. Here's the question that I have to talk about. Hey, asshole, how do you avoid getting analysis paralysis with all the options available to you for pedal sounds, ideas, etc.? From Rob E. Rob is a Patreon person, so that's why I made a special cyber attack guarantee, which is that Patreon people are guaranteed to have their questions addressed. And that's why I put this question on the screen that starts with, hey, asshole. You know what I mean? Normally, I just wouldn't address this, but I was forced to because I made a pact, and I'm very serious about my pacts. But also, it doesn't bother me that much. You know, there is a certain amount of East Coast hostility in these live streams, which I'm responsible for. So, you know, I can't cry about it too much. I will now address your question. How do I avoid getting analysis paralysis? I mean, I sort of do. Like, it happens to me, too. It would be wrong to say that, like, I'm never paralyzed by the amount of options in front of me. You know, so one way I deal with it is I just suffer through it, you know? But one thing that helps is the fact that, like, I have to crank these videos out. You know what I mean? Like, I got to keep making YouTube videos. If I don't keep putting YouTube videos out all the time, like, all the numbers go down. I don't know if you realize this, but, like, if you have a YouTube channel and you put a new video out, like, people watch your old videos too. Like, the numbers just go up. Like, the wheel spins faster. The lights shine brighter. Like, everything goes better when you have a new video out. You know what I mean? It's true that on any given day with no new video, people will find your channel and click on shit. But, like, even videos I made 2.5 years ago have a better day if there's a new video on the channel. So this is funny. I can't wait to finish my upload schedule so I can write music again. I mean, it's sort of true, but I try to use my little YouTube videos. You know, I have to play those little song snippets in every video, right? On my format, it's like 5 pro tips, and each pro tip gets a little song. So I'll often use the little songs as, like, opportunities to try to demo something I'm working on for my next record, or like develop some material that I'm trying to write. So I try to, like, force myself to chip away at the writing I have to do, or the more sort of artistic compositional goals I have. I'll use the gear videos to force me to produce material. And that's basically my answer to your question, which is, like, give yourself a bunch of little assignments, you know? Like, there's this thing that can happen that I call masterpiece-itis, where it's like you're going to, like, indie release an album that's going to be, like, your album, and it's going to be original music, and it's going to be, like, you making all the decisions, and it's important, you know, and it's just something you have to do whenever you get around to it, and you're not expecting to make a lot of money on it, but it's important to you. And, like, the fact that you're not making money, or you don't expect to make a lot of money off of it, makes it simultaneously, like, the most important thing and the least important thing. You know, it's the most important thing because, like, you care about it on this deeper, more passionate level, but it's the least important thing because, like, you know, if you got to pay your bills at the end of the week, you're going to work on the thing that helps you pay the bill, you know? So my answer to you is, like, don't have masterpiece-itis. Give yourself assignments that, like, forces you to crank some stuff out. You know, starting a YouTube channel would be a good way to do it. But that's basically the answer. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, let's keep going. I have some more pre-submitted, and then in a little bit, I'm gonna start listening to you guys' music and trying to, like, tell you things about your music that'll be good. All right, here's one. Here's one. If everyone watches your videos and learns how to be advanced, wouldn't that just make us average again? From Zach words. Yep, you got me. Yes, yeah, you're right. If everybody were advanced, then nobody would be advanced. Yeah, that's true. I don't know if you've noticed, but not everybody in the world is watching my YouTube videos. You know what I mean? The population of the world is like 9 billion people, and my channel has 1.5 million views. So, you know, there's, like, a lot of billions out there that we don't need to worry about who haven't seen the advanced secrets yet. I would maybe be okay with it, though. You know, I think if everyone got advanced because everyone in the world watched my videos and then no one was advanced, but I had 9 billion views, I would take it. You know, I hope that's okay with you guys. I would take the 9 billion views. And then what? Then no one would be advanced. Well, then we would all have to get advanced again. And I'm okay with that, actually. In fact, I think it would be a good exercise for us, for everyone to get advanced so that no one would be advanced, so that then we'd have to figure out how to be advanced all over again. Like, I think that's what keeps you fit, you know? My producer, Jeff Stanfield, the last time we were together working on stuff, he said something like, if you ever listen to your last record and you think it's perfect, it means you're dead. And I like that attitude. You know, I like the idea that my best work is ahead of me and I have not even yet begun to approach my prime. You know what I mean? So I'm totally okay with everybody becoming advanced so that no one is advanced. All right, cool. Look at this, dude. Totally relate to the masterpiece thing, perfectionism and creativity. We're going to be hearing from Stephen Beyer in just a little bit. We're going to be listening to some of his music. So stick around, dude. Would you attempt to re-advance the world, or is that someone else's job? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what happens to me after I get 9 billion views, but then everyone is average, including me. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I might have to I don't know. I feel like I might have to retrain for a little bit first. There's a great quote from marvelous Marvin Hagler, the boxer, who said, "It's hard to wake up at 5 a.m. and do road work when you've been sleeping in silk pajamas." You know? So maybe step one in this scenario was like, take the silk pajamas off. I don't know, man. I feel like I can't even write stuff anymore because everything I do sucks. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, I'm sorry you feel that way, but I think you should just like will yourself to do it anyway. You know what I mean? I think you just got to like march through the suck, you know? I mean, the fact that everything you do sucks. I mean, think about what I just said a second ago when my producer was like, if you listen to the last thing you did and you think it's perfect, you're dead. So like, you've got the opposite problem. You've never been more alive. You know what I'm saying? Like, you listen to your last thing, you think it sucks so much. That means like, you know, your best work is necessarily in front of you then. You know what I mean? So I think you should just like force yourself to keep going and like try to take pride in the fact that you're like willing to do this work with a kind of grim determination. You know, there's something cool about like the resolute, you know, miserable guy who just like refuses to surrender. There's a vibe there, you know. There's a vibe there. That's not the worst vibe in the world, you know. See if you can just be that guy. What's the perfect number of guitars? Just one or more less than what you've already got. I have 4 guitars and I like feel weird about it. Like it's unclear to me why I need 4. Like I only ever play one at a time, and like I can't even keep all 4 of mine in like tip-top shape. Like there's always one that is like neglected and needs attention, and like the truss rod is fucked up or the intonation is fucked up. And then there's the one that I'm like playing, so it's in good shape, but it's also like fucked up because I'm playing it a lot, so it's like wearing out faster. So I don't really know. Also, they're all in standard tuning. That's the other thing. Oh no, I have one that's an E flat. I have one that's an E flat, and then 3 that are in standard tuning. And part of me feels like that's pointless too, you know. So I don't fucking know, you know. I don't know. Sometimes I make stuff that I like better when my goal is to make something that sucks. Oh yeah, I've been there. This happened a lot when I was like younger. With like around the time I was in college and right after college, I had my first band. Not my first band. My first like real band where I could sort of say like we're going for it professionally. You know, that the name of that band was Sweet Fix. If you want to look it up, the stuff is like still on Spotify and everything. And in that era of my life, I was like good enough that like people would be like, "Oh yeah, that's good. You're good. You seem like a good musician." But like, you know, not everything I did. Sometimes my friends are like, "Mm-hmm." You know what I mean? And like the thing that would happen sometimes was like I would do or say something that, or I would work on a song, or I would like take things in a certain direction, and people would be like, "Oh, that's really good. Like, can you do more of that?" And sometimes I would be such an idiot that I would be like, "That's not really what I'm trying to do. I just did that because like whatever." But like I'm really trying to be in like a hard rock band, so that song was like, it's not ripping enough. And like, when I look back now, that was always stupid and wrong. Like, there would be times where I thought that like, I want to be in a band that like, I mean, this is how like a teenager thinks in some ways. Like, I want to be a band that like combines Metallica with Van Halen, but also like Soundgarden and also like Garbage, like Shirley Manson. Like, I want to just, all my different influences, I want to combine into one thing. And I'm going to like check all these boxes. And like, I'm going to sort of demonstrate to everybody that like I've absorbed all these different cool things about music and I understand all of them. And now I'm going to like synthesize them and show everyone that like I'm the best student of music that ever lived. I mean, maybe that's not how anyone else thinks except for me. By the end of that, I was like, I'm not sure who else is going to be able to relate to this. But that was like a little bit how I was thinking about it when I was like 18 or 19. And I think that held me back a little bit. I think a better way to think about it is just sort of like, don't try to demonstrate anything about what you know, and like, just try to make something that sounds cool and good. Try to write a song that like, as soon as it's over, people just want to hear it again. Like and write a song that isn't sort of like in conversation with your influences and is not like trying to update a thing or is not trying to be like the second coming of your favorite band, or like don't operate on the level that is like, this is what has come, I get it, now I'm taking us here. Like, just try to write something that is like, if no matter what people listen to, they'll hear your thing and be like, I get it. I get it. You know what I mean? I like that. I like it. My goal more at this point is to sort of have people be like, what you just did was like very deliberate and like very sure of itself and like has a very specific vibe, and it might not be my taste, but like, I get that you have a thing you're doing. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what you should shoot for. And I guess that's a little abstract. But I think the key point here is to like, just listen. Like, everything should always be about like, how do you want it to go? Like when you're thinking about how your song goes in your mind, how do you want it to go? Not what do you think will like prove that you're cool, and like not what is the thing that your favorite guitar player would do. Just like, how does this sound like it should go? If you were listening to someone else's song, if this song came on the radio and you like missed the beginning and you're tuning in late and you're just hearing the song, and you don't know anything about it, you don't even know what the station is, you just like turn the car on and this is playing, what would you hope this song delivers by the end of it? And like, try to answer that question with music. Like, I hope it would go like this, or like, I hope the solo would end up sounding like that, or like, I hope the singer would end up revealing themselves to be this kind of a persona, or whatever. Try to answer it as musically as you can. I think that's how you should work if you can. Do you think competing with musicians with peer musicians is healthy or distracting? I am a competitive person, so I think there's a place for competing. I don't think you should fight dirty. I don't think you should like go to your rival's band's YouTube channel and like downvote their videos. I don't think, if you're like on a bill with some other people and they ask to share the back line, I don't think you should say no just because you're like trying to beat them in the game of music. Let me just address this. Matthew Averill, thank you. I packed a lunch today, so here's $10. I appreciate it. Thank you, Matthew. I hope you have a great lunch, and thanks for the $10. I really appreciate it. All right, let me go back to this one. Who is this? Oh, Billy Evil again. Yeah, didn't I like make fun of you 15 minutes ago? I don't remember why. I just remember sort of like taking a shit on your username at one point. Just goes to show the dangers of like being too competitive. You see, it's like like people come up to you with a serious question that you want to take seriously, and all of a sudden you're not sure like how obnoxious you were to them the last time you encountered them. Is that how you want to go through life? Something to think about. So what was I saying? Yeah, so I think being competitive, like that's been a huge motivating force for most of my life, you know? Not to the point that well, you know, and maybe sometimes I was even kind of a little like dastardly about it. Maybe, I mean, nothing's coming to mind, but you know, I'm like not a spring chicken anymore. I've probably done shit that I don't even remember. So, how good could it all be? But what am I trying to say? I think it's okay to be internally competitive, and I think, you know, maybe best of all would be to be competitive with yourself. That's, you know, that's maybe now what I do the most is like I'm trying to just operate at a higher level than I did before, trying to learn more than I did before. You know, I think the most important thing you can do when you're being competitive is to like look at the people you're competing with and like honestly try to figure out like what are they doing better than me? Like, is their show better? You know, is their like presentation better? Like maybe they play just as good as you, but they figured out their look more, you know? And like maybe their band logo and like the band font and like the wardrobe, like maybe they have a better sort of overall artistic coherence to what they're doing, even if on a musical level they can't touch you. You know, see if there's anything they're honestly doing better than you that you can learn from, and be competitive about that, and like try to then get better at the thing they're better at. But while you're doing that, it can be very cool if you can sincerely at some point when you see them at the show tell them like, you know, I got to tell you, like, your guys' like band presentation is so on point that you made me want to get better at that. Like you guys are nailing that, and I have to give you credit. It's like an inspiration. It makes me want to do a better job at that myself, or whatever it is they do that they can do better than you. If you can, like, don't be a smarmy jerk about it. You know what I mean? They shouldn't feel that like what you're saying is a ploy. You shouldn't even say it unless you can mean it when you say it. But if you can mean it when you say it, this is a good way to like make friends and get invited to be on more bills, and a good way to get better and grow. I'm scared as hell to write vocals. Any tips? Yeah, I agree with you that it's terrifying. You know, the best thing you can do is like try to figure out like what is the style of lyrics that your voice could do, you know? I mean, that's maybe confronting that is still terrifying to you, but for me, it got a little less terrifying when I was like, okay, I mean, I guess I'm just like, I'm not going to try to write like a Brian McKnight song. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to sound good if I try to do that. It sounds good when he does it, but like, that's off the list, you know? That's why like the Tom Petty karaoke stuff was like such a godsend for me. You know, you got lucky when you found me. I could sing that, you know, or like you're gonna get it, you know. It's like where he's like, it's time for you to crawl the way you made me crawl. That's not even what the lyric is. I fucked up the lyric. What is that line? Somebody watching has to know. What's the line? What's the line in You're Gonna Get It where Tom Petty like almost loses it, where he's like, I'm gonna crawl to you. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like figure out the version of yourself that is like, what's the kind of material that is suited to that, and then write that material. I mean, I'm not going to say that's like easy. Don't get me wrong. It's just that this makes it sort of possible instead of impossible. It's not going to make it easy. It's still going to be hard, but like we're up from impossible. That's the best I can do for you. Yeah, this is probably a more practical version of the thing I was trying to say. Find the melody that fits your range, always write from what you know. Yeah, it's good to know what your range is. It's good to put melodies in that range. It's good to move keys so that you're always in your range. I guess what I was trying to say was that there's like such a thing as emotional range also, you know, or there's such a thing as like personal identity range, you know, and like try to find out what that is, just like you try to find out what your high and low note is too. All right, cool. That's the best I could do for you there. Oh yeah, here's one I feel sort of responsible. I feel a responsibility to talk about this. Question: how can we subvert the use of AI in music to aid our own creative goals. From Mike RW2NH. I wish I had like more developed thoughts about this. I agree that like this is what we should be thinking about. You know what I mean? I share your concern. I don't think I have anything super clever about this. I mean, I myself am not that interested in AI stuff. And like I feel like I can spot it, or at least like I don't know how this happened, or maybe I do. Maybe it's going to be obvious to everybody how this happened. But like a big part of my Instagram like recommended for you is like AI softcore porn. It's like guitar shit, knockout reels of famous boxers, and then like a lot of AI generated softcore porn. And I always say I didn't ask for this. Like one, it's clear that it's AI. I swear to God, like I didn't search for that. I don't know why they like decided I was gonna love it. I never signed up for this. It's obvious to me that it's AI. And like to me, that's just like instantly uninteresting. Like, so it's not a real person. You know what I mean? To me, I'm like, okay, well then what am I looking at then? You know? Why are we talking about this? Why did I decide it would be a good idea to share that? Yeah, so I don't know. There is like, I forget what it's called. It's called like rose poison or like poison rose or poison water or something. There is like ways to fill up, to like seed the data that the AI bots are aggregating to learn with like garbage that people try to do to like thwart the AI. I don't know how. I mean, that sounds cool. Like I'm all into that. I wish I knew what the name of it was so that I could speak intelligently about it for a 1 microsecond. But it also seems like it might. I might like. That might just become an arms race where like then the AIs get better at like subverting the garbage input that the people were trying to use to sabotage it. You know. And maybe for once, like the good guys could win the arm race. Like that would be, I would love for that to happen. But what are we going to do if we lose the arms race? You know, wouldn't be the first time that ever happened. And so I don't know. I mean, part of me just feels like I don't even care about that stuff. I'm not really interested in AI generated anything. And like, I actually don't really need 9 billion people to like my YouTube channel. I do not need to get like 100% of the population of the earth to like what I'm doing. You know, I only need like this many people to like what I'm doing. Like I'm in the game. I'm able to like make my whole next record by getting pedal companies to pay for it, and I can release it by doing my own promotion through my YouTube channel. You know, like I like it when my numbers go up, but they've gone up to a point where like I'm in the game now. So it seems like enough people are with me on like the weird animation and the weird glitchy music and the weird glitchy bullshit and all my weird bullshit that like they're with me on that. So I'm assuming there's like also a subset of people who are like not asking for the AI stuff. And so maybe I can just like keep doing what I'm doing, and there'll be enough people who are like okay with that, and we can just be on our own little island of like the people who don't care about that. I mean, as I'm saying it, I'm aware that it's like very naive, and like as I'm saying it, I'm like, wait, that can't possibly be the plan, Ivan. That's the plan. That's a piece of shit plan. We're just gonna get steamrolled if that's the plan. So I guess I would say like anyone in the comments who feels like you've got better plans for how to like topple our AI overlords, you know, please get in the comments, you know. And also it's a bad look for me not to know more about this because I named my whole thing Cyber Attack, you know. I was like, that's a cool name. So I feel like now I have to, I can't just like ignore this. I'd feel threatened if I was a mediocre musician. Wow, okay. All right. Good thing that you're the best musician in the whole world. Okay. All right, cool. Have you ever explored modding pedals to extend your means of getting glitch sounds? No, I'd love to, but I don't really know how to solder and do shit like that. You know, judge me how you will for this. I don't know how to like touch a circuit board and do things with the circuit board. All right, here we go. Here's another one I got ahead of time from Matt West Haver 6909. One thing about this username that's funny to me is the 6909 at the end. And it's like truly unclear if that's just like trying to use 69 because 69 is like one of the funny numbers. You know what I mean? But then he like backpedaled and he was like, I got to have 69 in there, but I'm afraid of the backlash. So I'm just going to do 6909. Like, is that what it is? Or does 6909 mean something else? You know what I mean? Maybe he was like, it's a good idea to put the last four of your social in your username so you always remember it. You know what I mean? It's like that with 6909. What is 6909? You know, this, I love doing Mad Libs. I love Mad Libs. But the problem with Mad Libs is like when it's your turn and you have to do a number, and it's always like, what are the funny numbers? Like, how do you make number funny if you're doing Mad Libs? And there's like, right, there's 69, you know, there's like 411, you know, and then there's like, you could be a dork and try to do like negative infinity, you know, or like the square root of -1. You know, how funny is any of that? And then sometimes if you're lucky, like there'll just be something funny about like 27. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like the random weird number will end up being funny. It'll be something funny about like, you know, intertwined 27 impotent dicks. And like that'll be what's in the Mad Lib. And like that kind of works, but you couldn't have known, you know? So I spent many years trying to think about like, what are the funny numbers? And 6909 just reminded me of that. Cool. All right, what was your question though? Oh yeah, how can I find time to play guitar? You know, what are you imagining I could say that would answer this question for you? Like it's gonna sound like I'm being hostile, and I'm trying not to be. I'm really for once like trying not to be hostile. Like I want you to close your eyes. Like you asked a guy with a YouTube channel, how can I find more time to play guitar? What do you imagine is an answer to this? Like I don't know anything about your life. Do you know what I mean? Like if you spend 7 hours a day jerking off to completion over and over and over again, like try to spend 6.5 hours a day doing that and use those last 30 minutes to play guitar. Like I don't know anything about how you spend your time. You know what I mean? Like, so what did you think I was going to tell you? Like, here's one weird trick. You know what I mean? Like, YouTubers hate him. Here's one weird trick for watching less YouTube and practicing your guitar. You know, I have no fucking clue, dude. I do not know. I mean, I guess I would say, like, whatever it is you think that I could, like, whatever, the fact that you think this is an answerable question, to me, indicates that, like, you might be close to the answer. Like, fantasize about a world in which you asked a gear YouTube guy this question and he gave you an answer. Like with the full force of like all your hopes and dreams, like truly imagine the fantasy scenario where you asked this question and you got an answer. And in that fantasy, which I want you to picture as vividly as you possibly can, what does the answer sound like? You know, you imagine it. You imagine that the guy is answering your problem for you. Is it something like, well, you know, wake up earlier and do it, or like, you know, quit being a member of the Let's Not Play Guitar Facebook group, you know? Are you in like some weird perverted accountability group that is about not playing guitar and you could quit them and then you would end up playing guitar more? Like, with what you know about your own life, see if you can like imagine how you would tell yourself to answer this question. Having said all that, I will now actually try to answer the question for you. This is something that happens a lot on my live streams, which is that I'll get the question, then I'll sort of like beat on the question, and then at the end I'll like try to answer it. So we're now entering the try to answer the question phase of the live stream. Okay. If it's like hard for you to do it, you know, to me it sounds like this is like a discipline issue or like a summoning the will issue. And like, it's good and cool to be disciplined, but it is a finite resource. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're already waking up at 5 a.m. to go running, and then you like got a bunch of work you got to do, and then when you come home from work, you got to like, you know, help your parents install like a fucking motorized wheelchair so they can climb up their own stairs. I mean, I'm just making shit up here, but like maybe you're sort of just burning through all your discipline points every single day by the time you get to 5 p.m., in which case just trying to be more tough about practicing guitar is going to be hard if it's a discipline issue. Let me just pause here and say, sooner or later, to be the best guitar player you're going to have to be, you will have to be disciplined. Eventually, that is required to achieve like true greatness. So I'm not just all about like comfort and peace and love here, but that doesn't mean you got to flex right now and that you have to do it the hard way right now. What I'm building to is like, if you just love what you get from playing guitar, you'll sort of play guitar anyway. You know what I mean? Like if you sort of can't wait to pick it up again so you can hear yourself strum that song you just learned how to play, and it's like so thrilling to hear yourself play it. If you have a spare 10 minutes, you'll grab the guitar and do it instead of filling up those spare 10 minutes looking at your phone. And this is the kind of relationship you want to have at a time like this, right? So figure out like what is the thrill, or like what is the irresistible joy that you get from playing guitar, and then for now like marshal everything to be around that and try to do that and try to only focus on that. And if that means that like you don't practice your sweep picking or whatever, that's okay. Like that can wait. First, what we want to do now is just sort of like emphasize the most exciting, like, oh, that's so much fun, I can't wait to do it again part. And I don't know what that is for you. You know, if it's learning songs you love, if it's just playing songs you wrote or whatever, trying to finish a new song you're writing, if it's playing along to, you know, Highway to Hell. I don't know what it is, but just go to that and like indulge in that for as long as you need to, just to like spend a lot of time playing. And then once it sort of like re-enters your life that way, then you can start to try to use a little more discipline. Okay, look at this. From Man-Made Artists. Your videos inspired me in so many ways. Thanks. I appreciate it. Thanks for the money. That's really cool. Thanks for the comment. I'm glad you're enjoying it. You know, I'm glad you dig it, but I'm also glad that, you know, I'm grateful to you too, right? Because I just made a bunch of YouTubes that I thought would be cool. And then if other people think they're cool, you know, that's a huge relief. All right, cool. All right, what we're going to do now is I'm a bunch of people who were either my YouTube members or my Patreon subscribers in the run-up to this sent in their music, and I promised that I would listen to it on the live stream and then like try to give a critique about their original music. So now we're going to start doing that. This is something that is like a privilege that only my paid Patreon people and my YouTube members have. So if you want to sign up for that, there's the links in the description. But everyone who sent in their stuff has like already been there. So I'm going to get that going in a second. And then the other thing I have to say before I do this is that there's two things I have to say. One is I haven't actually listened to any of this yet. I'm going to listen to it for the first time on the stream. I did that on purpose just because, you know, I just like want to be spontaneous about it. Two, I think I hooked up the technical shit so that it's going to work. It's possible that like what everyone else is going to hear is going to be like summed to mono, or that like just whatever, it's like not going to sound that good. So, I mean, maybe it'll sound great. Maybe it'll sound great. Maybe it won't sum to mono. I did some tests and it sounded like stuff. There was some like fidelity shit happening. So, and the reason I'm bringing this up is that for people who are listening along, you're going to hear other people's songs. If you think it sounds like garbage, like assume that most of that is just because of the like technical limitations of the live stream and the this and the that. Like, you know, hold your worst judgments. Like, assume that it's just because this stuff is like getting beamed in a weird way. And if you just want to hear the real version, just like go find the Spotify. And then the last thing I want to say, what Wait, I feel like I have to address this. I kind of want to learn how to play Thunderstruck. I know it's pretty easy, but God, that's a great lick. You know, it is a good lick. It's learnable. You know what I mean? Like, I could play it by the time I was in 10th grade, so it's like not impossible. But I also want to say that like there's a sense in which like learning to play anything, nothing is really easy if you play at the highest level. You know what I mean? Like playing anything so that it sounds very, very, very good is not easy. You know what I mean? Like even being able to play like a Ramones song or a Nirvana song or something that is like in the beginner workbook at the bookshelf at the music store of like songs to learn, like the beginner material, that repertoire, like even playing that stuff and making it sound like you are a pro is still hard. You know what I mean? Like we can all tell if we hear someone at the guitar store play Crazy Train, like whether they're good or bad. And even if Crazy Train is like an easy lick, I mean the intro lick, the F sharp minor lick. The verse lick is actually not the easiest thing anymore. But the first part is like, we all sort of think that one is doable. But even playing that right, you still sort of reveal yourself. You can like never, I think, for people who like really know how to listen to shit, you can like never really hide how good or bad you are in a way. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna sound like a snob, but like I feel like I can tell if I hear someone play guitar, I can tell within like 2 notes. Like literally, if I said to like 20 guitar players, like play 2 notes, I could tell who was good. And if some of them were like, well, what do you mean? Like, what notes do you want me to... That, I'm like, you already fucking failed the test. You already fucking failed the test by asking what I meant by playing 2 notes. I meant any 2 fucking notes. Like, do whatever you got to do to make 2 notes sound good. There's a million fucking ways to do it. That's the whole point. Like, 2 notes could be anything. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what do you mean? Like, make 2 notes sound good. Like, if you can't do it, that's the whole fucking test. So anyway, sorry. I guess what I'm saying is like, I reached a point where like, I don't even think playing 2 notes is easy. You know what I mean? Like, I can do it. It's not hard for me. But like, I think a lot has to go right before you can just like play a note and have it make people go like, oh, that guy might be good at this. So all I'm trying to say here is like, you should definitely learn Thunderstruck. And it's like, I think playing Thunderstruck is, you know, harder than some songs, easier than some other songs, but, you know, nothing, part of me just thinks nothing is really easy. That was just a very sort of pedantic point I felt the need to make right now in the middle of my fucking thing. Cool. All right, so I love this comment. 69 people watching. Yeah, that's good. That's just like Mad Libs. Yeah, right. At this moment, it's 70, so I feel like somebody's got to kill themselves and like exit the stream. Sorry, fuck, am I going to get demonetized for saying that? I didn't mean somebody's got to kill themselves. I did not mean that. What I meant was like somebody has to make a personal sacrifice, metaphorically, and not watch the live stream anymore so that we can get back down to 69. I swear to God, I would never instruct anyone to commit suicide. I'm so afraid that like this live stream is going to get flagged because of the fact that those words came out of my mouth. If anyone's feeling like you're alone, you're never alone. There's always people who value your life. You know, you should never off yourself. Okay, so sorry, that thing just took a weird turn. But these live streams are like so off the cuff, and I talk so much shit, and I've said like so many borderline things and gotten away with it that it just like makes me more and more nervous that like one day I'm going to say something dumb, and then it's like my channel's going to get demonetized and it's all going to be over. Anyway, so sorry about that. Why don't we now listen to some original music from Stephen Beyer? Dude, how's that for an intro? Where's my guy Stephen Beyer at? Isn't this a great run up to listening to your thing on the live stream? We're now going to listen to original music from a bunch of people who sent me their stuff. First up is a guy named Stephen Beyer. I'm expecting this to be good because Stephen Beyer, who I have been in touch with in the past, has his own YouTube channel. He's made some cool videos. You know, the YouTube videos are good, so I'm assuming the song is going to be good. Here we go. There's this. We're going in. The song is called... Oh, you know what? Let me put it on the Kiss cam, actually. We're going to listen to How Was Your Day? Oh, and the last thing I want to say about this is... wait, no, that's not what I wanted to put. I wanted to put a different thing. Sorry. I'm trying to get your song name in the Kiss cam so that when people watch later, they can look it up and listen to it if they love it. I I'm going to try to give feedback that is like, makes you want to work on this and like makes you feel good about, or I guess you already released the song, so makes you feel good about working on your next songs. You know, what do I know? I'm just a guy with a fucking YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you what I think is cool, but what I think is cool isn't worth that much. You know, it's worth 34,000 YouTube subscribers. You know, you might think that sounds like a lot, and I'm happy with it, but you should know that like 34,000 YouTube subscribers does not make you a millionaire. You know what I mean? So like, I'll tell you what I think, but there's no guarantee that this is going to like take you anywhere, just whether I like it or whether I don't like it. And the last thing I'll say is that, you know, if anything I say makes you like not want to work on your next batch of songs, then you should just ignore what I say. Like, I'm going to try to say stuff that like, you know, makes you excited to go back and like try new things. But if that's not what it does, if you're torn between wanting to do what you thought you wanted to do or listening to me, which makes you not want to do anything, then you should just not listen to me. Okay, cool. Got it. All right, let's listen to the jam. Let's listen to the song. Oh, I like that. Cool beginning. Yeah, I mean, this is glitchy and cool. Oh, yeah, do you have like some samples going? What the fuck is happening? I'm into this. Some ideas. Is that the whole first track? Oh, does your album begin with like a little intro teaser thing? All right, let's listen to the first real track. What's this one called?
Sticking eggs at you, 22. Only thinking of being next to you. True love from a distance under the stars. Need you right this instant, please don't stay far. Oh. You gave me Jude and Ivy too.
One question while I'm listening, Steven. Did you mix this yourself? Just put that in the chat.
What's happened to our family We've been across the country, east to west. Take a bunch, just roaming and curl up.
Yeah, I like the artwork too. All right, cool. All right, yeah, sounds good, man. I mean, good job, you know? Like, you did good. Sounds good. How do I make myself... There we go. yeah, it's all very like you got good takes of all the performances. It's all sort of like you made the decisions, you decided what you wanted, you recorded it. It sounds good. I could tell that you mixed it yourself. I could just tell. I don't know why. I wish I could like identify why I could tell that you mixed it yourself. I think for album number 2, you should not mix it. The mix is totally fine, but it's like something about the way it's mixed is just sort of like the exact same perspective and the exact same priorities as the guy who wrote it and the guy who played it. And I feel like there's a kind of a sameness there. Like, I think giving this someone else to mix would just complicate the material in a good way. It's like a little abstract or like a little philosophical, but like it sounds like the guy who wrote this song made a bunch of decisions and then he mixed it, and that's like too many decisions by that one guy. And I think having someone else mix it would just like give it this sort of extra secret quality. You know, I think it's good for stuff to be a little bit mysterious. And like also the opening track that has the samples and has like a lot of the glitchy shit happening, it's like that stuff just kind of makes you wonder, like, oh, what is that? Like, where did he find that? Or what's he doing? Like, and those kinds of questions are very interesting to me. And then the first real song, which sounds good, and like you did a good job mixing it. I'm not saying that there's like mix errors. I'm just saying that like I kind of stopped wondering at a certain point. I was like, all the questions have been answered at this point. So I think you should give it to someone else to mix. And then the other thing I think is like, that first song has a very like open. The frequency space is very open. It's just like drums, bass, acoustic guitar, vocals. And I know that that's on purpose, and I know that that's part of it, right? The last line of the song is like, Jessica, I love you sincerely. And so like the whole song is meant to just be this like very simple, very plain, very like sincerely stated message of love. I totally get that. I totally buy it. But I do think if you're the guy who made track 1, you could hide some of that crazy glitchy bullshit somewhere in the background of track 2. You know what I mean? Like track 2 still has room in it. I'm not saying that everything has to be like totally packed with information, but there's a little extra room in that song for like some backing tracks that are just a little hissy or noisy or weird or surprising or like sampley. You know, you could hide a lot of stuff in the background that's just kind of ambient and like mysterious, and this song could take it. I don't think it would ruin it. You know, but it's good. I mean, like I'm only saying this shit because this was the live stream where I'm supposed to give critiques. Like, you did a good job. You should be proud of yourself. That's what I think about this one. So good work also, Steven. Thanks for going first. You know, great work. Keep it up. Okay, next we have a guy named Clayton Gartman and a song called Photophobia. Now we're going to listen to that. All right, cool. Let's go in. Let's go for it. Oh, wait, sorry. I copied and pasted the wrong thing. Sorry. That's funny. That's the I copy. Here's the link. Here's the actual URL. Here we go. All right, getting something here. Just the fact that I'm like listening to this on a live stream and I have to come up with things to say about it, like it does change the listening experience. combination of reverb sounds here. There's a kind of a spooky sense of space. I think is cool. It sounds like some of this stuff is starting to clip a little bit. Like the recording of it is just a little too loud. I mean, that can even have its own vibe. That can be cool, but I'm hearing it on a bunch of different instruments, which makes me think it's not intentional. And if it was intentional, I think it's more effective if not everything in the mix is like on the verge of breaking up. Because then you just make people wonder if it's intentional or not. It sounds like a voice. One of the like reverb pads back there sounds has like this sort of haunting vocal quality. That whatever instrument that is, that's cool. This also sounds like kind of a jam to me more than a song. Like, this feels like a guy who was sort of winging it. He like pushed record and then just decided to let whatever happens happen. And it's like a different vibe than like, here's how my song goes. Oh, there's the voices again. All right, I'm liking the voices. I sort of want to hear a song by you that like takes those voices as like the most important thing, and then writes a new song. It doesn't just jam. Writes a new song that is like all about glorifying the weird spookiness of those voices. Yeah, what the fuck are those voices, man? That's a cool sound. Turn it down like this. Does that fix it? Is my voice better now? Can somebody give me a comment? Does this sound better? Okay, cool. Thanks. All right. Here's what I'm hearing on this one. The vibe of this to me sounds like a guy who just pushed record and winged it rather than a guy who was like, this is how my song goes, you know? So that being the case, I want to be like gentle, you know, if it was truly just an improvised take. But I should also say, like, I'm a guy who lives in song world more, you know what I mean? Like on a taste level, that I'm more interested in hearing like, this is how the song goes. Okay. But, well, you can hear me now, right? Why are you telling me I'm not audible? Someone tell me you can hear me. Let me double check my levels, but you should be able to hear me. I didn't really do anything different. I need somebody to type a comment saying, yes, Ivan, we can now hear you. The song is over, by the way. The song is ended, and tell me, oh, you can hear me. All right, thank you. Very good, very good. All right, let me give some feedback to this dude. What I think is, what would happen if you challenge yourself to like get a little bit more, commit a little bit more to like, this is how my song goes. You know, the jam is, there's some vibes there, but to me, what I'm hearing when I hear a song like that is like, here's a bunch of possible ideas that could become real ideas in a composition. And like, I know there are people who live totally in the improvised world. And if that's the world you live in and things are going well for you, then you can ignore what I'm saying. But like, if I listen to a totally improvised set from like Keith Jarrett or something, like part of what makes that incredible is like how much he's able to have the idea and then develop the idea to a point that almost feels like it is a song, not just a guy exploring. And that's, you know, that's hard to get to. I mean, I can't do that, you know, that's Keith Jarrett. But I do think some of the ideas I heard, like that spooky vocal thing, could benefit from having a little bit more, a little more attention and a little more development, rather than just sort of like you sort of chasing the idea as it comes to you. And then the last thing I'll say is that I did hear some rhythmic issues throughout that whole thing. Like I could hear, and I think on every performance, like the guitar and the drums, there was a certain sort of like indeterminateness on the beat. You know, you would like start at one tempo for the lick and then drift to a different tempo over the course of the lick. I heard that on most of the tracks going in the song. So I would say, like, even if you don't give a shit about trying to like write a song rather than just improvise, I do think your improvisation would, anything you do musically would like rise to a higher level if you could like work on your timing and like work on your ability to like have an internal tempo and stay right on it and not drift as you're thinking about other things. Okay. All right. But you know, there was some cool vibes there. I mean, the spooky vocal track especially it had some charisma. It made me want to hear more of it. I heard that as a intentional, almost drunk feel. All right. So that just goes to show that like, maybe you don't want to listen to what I'm saying. You know, I would have changed it. I would have said that stuff. To me, it doesn't sound intentional. It just sounds sort of sloppy rhythmically. But Josh here thought it sounded like you were doing it on purpose and that it had a drunkenness. And I also sometimes hear things that sound like they have a deliberate drunken wooziness. And like, that's a vibe. That's a thing you can go for legitimately. So who's right? You know what I mean? I'm so sorry, but you're completely on your own. And everyone has to decide for themselves who's right. You know, you're on your own with that. Okay, cool. We're going to do another song. This one is by Aaron Josh, and it's called Save Some Face. Here we go.
These mushrooms make you feel better.
Let me skip this ad.
Like, a lot better.
Your claim to fame, it's a waste. No, you can't deny it. Yes, I'm sure it's a bore, bitch. Stop your lying. The red
All right, cool. Very popular in the comments. Dude, you could be happy that your king is like doing so well in the comments. It's popular. That's always a good sign. It's a crowd pleaser. How do I get this to be sorry, I want to put this on the bottom of my thing. How do I do this? How do I say I'm critiquing your music as a ticker? I'm so bad at doing things.
Wayday's coming. Wayfair's big sale is back for 3 days only, October 5th through 7th. Get excited to get up to 80% off. Shop Wayday October 5th through 7th.
Wayfair, every style, every
Put
home.
your name and your song as a comment on the screen because people. Oh, Google. Thank you. There we go. Then I want to put this here. This is the chaos I love and expect from Cybertech. I appreciate that. Okay. Yeah, dude, good job. Yeah, people in the comments are going crazy for it. You should be proud of yourself for that. Also, somebody gave me money. I have to find them. I have to find the person who gave me money and like have my little moment with them. Yeah, this guy, Scoots. Thank you. Thanks for the money. I found you recently and love your vids and Q&As. You help me understand different concepts like amps, preamps, signatures, and hybrid amps. I'm glad. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's always great to hear from you, and I appreciate the cash. All right, let me go back to this guy. Save some face. Yeah, man. I mean, this was done with the confidence. You know, it sounds like a song. Good job. The performances are cool. I did not hear any rhythmic bullshit. In fact, the little fancy rhythmic shit in the guitar part sounded good. That little thing, that was cool. My thoughts about this are, so one thing that maybe this could be me, that like I might be wrong with what I'm about to say, but like I heard weird stereo choices. Like the bass was a little bit right and the drums were a little bit left, and like just double check that. If that's a real thing and like the master really does have those choices on it, I think it's a little weird. So like I would reconsider that choice. But if you listen to your master and none of that is happening, then just disregard what I'm saying. But the thing is cool. The thing is good. I feel like it's good enough that now the challenge is like, can we make it even hookier? And I think I think if you had been forced to make this song even more like catchy, you could have. I mean, I get that you already released it, but I'm just saying, like, I think you're operating at a level where now when you're done, you have to go back and pretend that like you're on a major record label and they said you have to make that song a hit. Because it's right now it's good, but it's not a hit. And I think you're now ready to start like suffering and agonizing at the level of someone whose material is good, but it like needs to be like hit quality. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, in the chorus, there's a lot of space in between the vocal lines, which I forget what they are, but like the part of the song where you say save some space, and then there's stuff that rhymes with save some space, those are like separated. It's like you say save some space and a couple measures go by. What would have happened if you like filled those spaces with like a call and response vocal? You just repeated save some space, but it was like harmonized. I also think there's like possibly a female backup singer there too, maybe, and I feel like she could have been used more. But like, what would it have sounded like if you said save some space and then you repeated it, but it like was like a round where you're like saying it over yourself and harmonizing with yourself? I just feel like vocally those big gaps could have been filled with something that's like hooky, and it also maybe couldn't have even been vocal. Maybe you could have like stuck in some other guitar line or something in there. But the reason I'm saying this to you is like, this stuff is good enough at a level where now it's like, well, what happens if we tried to make it like laser grade hit potential, you know? And I think if you like went back through your material and forced yourself to try to inject hooks, you might have some ideas you like. And to me, I also think that it also sounded self-mixed again. This is like an intangible quality. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe you didn't mix it. Maybe you gave it to somebody to mix. But the mix itself felt a little bit like someone who was on the inside of the project and was basically getting everything to be balanced, and the levels were good, and you could hear everything. But they were almost like the mix was almost like too respectful of the source material. And I feel like a good mix is actually making decisions that a band is just going to argue about. And like a good mix is actually making decisions about like, this is the most important thing right now. And this thing is going to be there, but it's not the most important thing, you know? And like, I think an outsider can make those decisions better. And either this was mixed by someone who is not an outsider, or they're an outsider, but I would say they're maybe not mature enough to mix it at that level of expertise and confidence. Or maybe they were and you just kept them on a short leash, you know? So I do think that's something to think about. But good work. I mean, it's so far, you know, I mean, it's like you did a good job. You know, it's like it sounds like you know what you're doing, and people in the comments liked it. So, you know, good job. All right, let's do the next one. This one. Oh, we're going to SoundCloud.
The Northwell
now.
Cancer Institute is home to the most experienced cancer team in New York. And we're right in your community with an extended cancer campus anchored by LIJ Medical Center and a brand new cancer center in Rego Park, Queens. We offer more experts, more personalized therapies, more innovative breakthroughs. And our care navigators are here to guide you through every step of the journey.
I mean, if you were a true,
visit
true
northwell.edu/cancer
expert, maybe you
centers.
could become an outsider and
Northwell
do
Cancer
something
Institute.
effectively. That's
Raise
possible.
health.
But I think you're. Oh, sorry. This thing started. Where's that ad coming from? Jesus Christ. Sorry, was I talking over the track? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just stop talking and we'll listen to the thing. That was fucking rad. That was really cool. Yeah, dude, that was bananas. I really liked that. It reminded me of Homework, the Daft Punk album, in the sense that like there was no vocals and there was no sort of like soloist taking the place of a vocal. It was just sort of like a track without those things. Like one thing I understand about Homework, the Daft Punk album, is that like for most of it, around the world being an exception, most of it is sort of like, what if we just made songs that didn't have those parts? Didn't have the singer and it didn't have a soloist who's standing in for the singer. And that's a vibe. And I feel like it's easy to be boring if that's the assignment you take on. And I've always sort of admired Daft Punk for starting their career there. And this reminded me of that in a good way. A couple of people have comments saying like, I kind of want a solo. And I was having the same thought when I saw those comments. You then did bring in that like distorted guitar event that sort of took the place of a solo. And so I'm okay with that. I accept that. There is a part of me that always sort of wants to hear somebody shred. If you had put shredding in this, I wouldn't have objected. But I thought this was pretty cool. I mean, the sounds were fucking weird. The parts were like doing their job. It was surprising. A lot of it was very, very mono. And the stuff that was stereo, it wasn't really left or right. It was just sort of like spread. And what I mean by spread, it's like when you take one thing and then make it like fake stereo so that it's sort of like smeared across the stereo space. You had a lot of stuff that was either dead center or sort of smeared. Part of me wonders like what would happen if you started to just pick places and you put things a little bit to the left and it's just there. It's a point and it's there. And a little bit to the right, it's a point and it's there. But that's a minor thing. I mean, I thought this was pretty cool. I was impressed. Does anyone know if you can still submit a track? I'm so sorry, you can't. The tracks were submitted ahead of time, and they were submitted by my Patreon members and YouTube members. But there's always next time. Okay, cool. Good job from that. We're going to keep moving. This next song is called No Good For You from... Oh, You're Here? This Is You? That was your song we just listened to? It's you? Dude, that was cool, man. I mean, I'm impressed. Good work. If you have no idea about the stereo, you have no idea what you're doing. Oh, does that mean that you mixed it yourself? The self-mix vibe didn't bug me as much on this one. But if you mix this yourself, then I am very eager to hear what it would sound like if you just gave it to a pro. I mean, no offense, but this would benefit a lot if someone did it who knew what they were doing. Okay, this next song is called No Good, in parentheses, For You, from Kevin Brown. Now, I got to tell you, Kevin Brown's my guy. Kevin Brown runs the Tom Petty podcast, which I've been on. So this isn't just someone I know. This is like someone I admire very much. I mean, I've never heard his songs. I've never heard his jams. This is going to be the first time I've ever heard one. But I already decided that I like this guy a lot. So I'm going to be very biased. I'm just telling you that now. And I should warn you that this is like bad news for whoever's coming up next, because this guy's my guy. So after this one, we still have some to get through, but my comments are just going to be like, yeah, yours sucks. I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. Okay, let me find the link to Kevin's jam. Here we go. I like the title, No Good, in parentheses, For You. This makes me think that it's going to be the kind of like Tom Petty song I was talking about liking at karaoke at the beginning of the thing. All right, let's listen to this.
When you're staring out of your window, tell me what you see. Do you see him driving away to be where you'd rather be? When the kids are crying for daddy and you wipe their tears away, do you ask yourself why you're so lonely and why the hell you stay? He's got the morals of a tomcat woman, so what are you gonna do? He
I like the comment that said "Rock is back, baby." It's good.
And it'll never change for you. So just remember, you should have seen it coming. There's no one else to blame. Wasting time with a small-minded dirtbag is no way to live.
I'm actually, the reason I keep scrolling down is because I want to check who actually sang on this. Kevin, I'm very impressed that you are the lead singer.
He's no good for you. He's no good for you. He's no good for you. Yeah, you know it's true.
Oh, here we go. What is this going to be, like a solo or something? What are we about to get?
He's no good for you. 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 Oh, no good for you. He's no good for you. He's no good for you. He's no good for you.
Rock is back, baby. Rock is back. Okay, Kevin, I'm really impressed that that's your voice. I had to check the video description a bunch of times to be like, wait, that's my guy singing like that, dude. Oh, and look, here he is. Here he is, the Tom Petty Project man himself, dude. You have like lead vocal star quality. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, all I've ever wanted in my life was to have lead vocalist star quality. That vocal it's just like, you sound like a lead singer, man. I mean, that's very good. I personally thought the singer was the star of that band. You know, nobody fucked up. Like, everybody was playing their parts. Everybody nailed the assignment. But the singer was the one who I thought had like the charisma in the performance. So you should be proud of yourself. I mean, I'm just like very pleased. I said before at the beginning that like this next one is my guy and I'm going to be biased. I had no idea you could sing like that. So this is not the bias talking. Now, here's what I am going to say. The fact that your voice like has that thing, it has like the X factor or whatever, makes me think that I actually thought it was a little too perfect. I don't know. I'm gonna touch a sensitive subject here. I'm assuming you used pitch correction. I'm assuming you did like Melodyne or Auto-Tune or something like that. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. I Melodyned my record. If you listen to Cybertech original music, you're hearing digital pitch correction on it. So there's no shame in doing that. I don't think it's any different than like, you know, EQing a guitar part or like moving a waveform back a couple milliseconds so it's in the pocket, you know, or like comping different performances together to get one perfect take. You know, I got no problems with using digital pitch correction. The reason I think you used it is just because it sounds truly flawless. You know, it sounds flawless, and I've used pitch correction on my own voice, so it sounds perfect. And I think your voice is so good that like, what if it just didn't get smashed into that sort of perfection? It was like, to me, I felt like it was sort of a good voice that had been crammed into this box that now made it the sort of like touched up, perfect, corrected version of a strong voice. And I think like that's a different problem. That's very different than like pitch correcting someone who has like a sort of a little more character, or like a little bit more of like Tom Waits bullshit in their voice, and like the take is so unusual and perfect that it's great, but he is flat or sharp in a couple spots, and that kind of ruins it. So we got to go in there and fix that. That's like a very different thing. Like your voice is like right and good to begin with, and the fact that to me it sounds like it got pitch corrected to be absolutely perfect. Now it's like past the point of being right and good. It's too right and good. So I'd be curious to know what it would sound like if you loosened it up a little more, or maybe like double tracked it and let some of the doubling be a little weird, or if you just okay, so you're saying your mate the producer did some, I mean, it's not like there was so much that it was like, T-Pain or whatever, or it's not that I could, there was one or two spots where I thought maybe I could hear the artifacts. But what I'm saying to you is like, you got such a good voice that I think you got to now like, that's your high card. And the next time you make an album, I think you got to approach it with the knowledge that your voice is your high card. And I want you to like talk to your producer extensively about like, we got to make sure my voice is good, but also still interesting, and also has a little bit of like snap, crackle, and pop in it. And I also think you should approach the arrangements and like approach the composition knowing that like your voice is your thing. You know what I mean? Maybe instead of a guitar solo next time, you like come up with some crazy doo-wop thing where you like harmonize yourself a bunch of times and come up with a great vocal chart, or maybe you tell the guitar player like the days of playing nice are over. And when you take a guitar solo, what I want you to do is like, you got to try to dethrone me. Like inject a little bit of like healthy lead guitar player, lead singer rivalry into the track. Because the vibe I got from this is like, you guys are all just happy to be playing together, and that's cool. But I think your like voice is such a lead singer voice that like I now want you to indulge in like the lead singer bullshit. It's a world I'll never know, my friend. But you belong there. All right, so great work. I'm gonna keep moving. All right, next is a song called Lights Out by an act that I think is called Solarstein or Solarstein. I don't know. But let's go to the tape. Let's get this song going. Lights on.
One could argue all the other shoes are falling. One could argue they have yet to hit the floor. One could make a decent living selling footwear. One could argue, yeah. One could argue that you don't need to worry, it's worth every grain of lead. You don't need to hurry, there's forever to be dead. You don't need all your fingers left to count on it. You don't need, no. You don't need to know. By the letter of day and the end of the law, keep the lights on. The look of your brow and the sweat of the draw. Keep the lights on. by the hair of your teeth and the skin of the dark. Keep the lights on. A handful of steam and a head full of fog. Keep the lights on.
Keep the lights on. Keep the lights on.
Okay, cool. All right. Somebody in the comments was saying they like all the ear candy on this, and I'm with them on that. I like the weird sounds. I like the ear candy. My number one thought about this is that like the vocals are too plain, and I think they need to be like pushed into the realm of the rest of the track. Like there's a part where like one of the singers goes fight, 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 and like that's a huge missed opportunity. Like if you're gonna chant fight, fight, fight in your song, like that should be crazy. You know what I mean? Like at the very least it should be distorted or something, but it could be like insane. You know, it could be people being like fight, fight, fight. Like think about how like startling and like intense it would be if all of a sudden like in this song people are shouting in your face, fight, fight, fight. Like that's what I would do. Now, you know, I'm a guy who named his band Cyber Attack. You know, I'm obsessed with fighting, but maybe that's not for you. To me, it felt against type in a way that was a little distracting. Like the fact that the vocals were so straight and so clean, and also they were like not even treated with anything. You know what I mean? There's like no reverb on them. You know, and the way the two vocalists are doing it, it's like very like singing lessons. You know, like they're using technique. The vowels are like singing lesson vowels. Like they're good singers. They're like trying to sing properly. But I think that just needs to get like pushed to match the weirdness of the rest of the song. And also, you know, the fact that it's a male singer and a female singer, like look at what the B-52s did with that. You know, like they were such characters. When you got Fred Schneider, he's doing his thing. Like it was a rock lobster. You know, it's like whether you hate that or not, there's like a very specific character that is introduced every time that guy answers his mouth. And then when the 2-6 sing, like they're such a different character than him that it just like, it pulls you in. Whereas I thought the male and female vocalists in this were both kind of doing the same, like we're going to sing the regular way and we're just going to be two regular singers. And I think they need those vocal takes need to be like fucked up somehow, either sung in a way that's like more bizarre or treated in a way, you know, like Kraftwerk or something to match the rest of the track. The track has some cool stuff in it. The track is giving you a lot of this like digital ear candy, but I think the vocals are sort of like they seem sort of neglected. It feels a little bit like. All the other parts of the song were given some like production attention, and then the vocals were like, well, we're not going to fuck with those. We're just going to let them sound normal. And that to me was like a conspicuous difference. You know, but I like that the song was short. I like that it's like original. You know, there's a point of view there. And I like that the lyrics include fight, 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 fight. That's like very Cyber Attack lyrics. You know what I mean? I would love to listen to a song where the only words were just fight, 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 fight. That would be a fucking cool song. If it was just like, you look at the lyrics and it's just like the word fight 99 times in a row. You didn't go all the way to 99 times. You said it like 3 times. But I'd just be like, if you're going to say fight, 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 like that has to be an event. You know what I mean? You got to like either get a gang to scream it or you got to like sing it into like a spring reverb. You got to do something. You can't just like say fight and then like try to hide it. You know what I mean? People die when they do stuff like that. They like think they want to fight and then they decide they don't. That's a very dangerous mistake to make, musically or in real life. But you know, I admire the originality that's happening there. With everything else on the track. All right, here's the last one. This song is called Remember When, from a band called The Necessary Means. This was emailed to me, and I emailed back to confirm that the necessary means this band name is taken from The Big Lebowski. It's where Brant is talking about the Little Lebowski urban achievers, you know, children of great promise without the necessary means, without the necessary means. Philip Seymour Hoffman, as an actor, like glitches out and says those words twice in a row in the middle of his delivery. And I've always wondered, like, was that in the script, or is he just the absolute stone cold fucking genius who decided to repeat those words in the middle of his sentence and like just stammer like a droid who's glitching? He's like if C-3PO glitched out. Like, that's what Brant is in The Big Lebowski. He's like if C-3PO was a human being. He's like, children without the necessary means. Anyway, we don't have to talk about The Big Lebowski. I'm just saying this band name is, you know, as a reference, and I don't want anybody to miss it. Let me get the URL. Here we go.
Hey, check this out. So I
Cool.
stopped buying random lotto tickets and started doing
Fuck
this
you.
instead. You've probably heard that winning
I've
the
seen
lottery
this
is
ad
all about
before.
luck, right?
I've seen this ad. This
You
ad
might
is
think it's
fascinating
impossible
to
to
me.
ever win
This
big,
is an ad about,
or believe that you'll be in debt forever,
like,
and so will your
supposedly
kids.
there's a way to play the
but what if I
lottery
told
that's
you that's not true at
just
all?
a game of
What if I told
getting
you
ripped
there's a
off?
simple
But
method you
the
can use that
website
could
is,
actually help you play better,
is
and it has nothing to do with luck?
well-being.com. And I actually
Sounds too
went
good
to
to
that
be
website
true, right?
the last time I saw
That's
this
what I
ad.
thought too. Until I heard about this
well-being.com,
U.S.
and it's like the
mathematician
fucking
who said he
weirdest
cracked
fake
the
website
code.
you've ever seen.
He won 5
It's, like,
times in 3
impossible to
months and
understand
never played the lotto
what-
before discovering
it's
this.
clear that the website is a
He studied
scam,
27
but it's like
repeat winners and
very
couldn't believe what
not
he
clear
found.
what the scam is.
He said
Like,
these
I've
winners
never
weren't
seen a
just
scam
lucky,
your website,
but they did have
but,
one thing in common. He
I
said the
do wonder
lottery
a little
isn't
bit
totally
how this
random because
website
it's
is actually
designed by
getting your money.
humans,
All right, let's
which
go.
means there are patterns that can work in your favor.
It's Friday night, and yeah, you got me waiting, sitting out here all alone. Girl, you got me, yeah, you got me contemplating what it is that I'm doing wrong. Then I wonder, do you remember? Yeah, do you remember? Remember when you found me? I was fine here on my own, and then I felt your world surround me, and my hands are shaking, my heart, yeah, I can feel it breaking now. Yeah, I'm breaking down. Something ain't right, yeah, I can feel it slipping. Why do we keep playing alone? Oh, the sleepless nights, you know they got me thinking I'm better off out on my own. Then I wonder, do you remember? Yeah, do you remember? Remember when you found me? I was fine here on my own, and then I felt your world surround me, and now my hands are shaking, my heart, yeah, I can feel it breaking when you found me. I was fine here on my own, and then I felt your world surround me, and you know I'm breaking down. You know I tried so hard to believe, 'cause you were everything to me, and now my walls are crashing down, and I'm alone, so alone. Remember when you found me? I was fine here on my own, and then I felt your world surround me, and now my heart is breaking. Yeah, you know I feel it breaking when you found me. Remember when you found me? Remember when you found me? You found me. You found me.
Okay. All right. Cool. One of these comments compared this to cyber attack. So, you should be happy about that. My understanding of that comment is that it was giving you the greatest compliment that can ever be given to anyone. So, I hope that makes your day. Yeah, this is very pro. This is like, it's very pro. I was honestly surprised. I'm hearing all this for the first time right now. I was honestly surprised that a band that named itself after a fucking weird line in The Big Lebowski sounded like this. In the sense that, like, I thought this was going to be way more problematic and bizarre. It sounds very good. It's also like doing a very sort of commercial. It sounds very much like it's gunning for a hit. You know what I mean? It was like mixed in this way that is like, we're going to do things that hit songs have. And none of it sounds bad, but to me, it does sound very self-conscious that it's like trying to be the most commercial thing it possibly can. Now, I like commercial music, right? I mean, like, I like Michael Jackson. That was like the most commercially successful music that's ever been made. I do think that if you're going to do that, you can still afford to like take some chances. And I think the chances that this one takes don't really count as chances. Like the moment at the end where the drums get sort of lo-fi, or there are these moments like right before the chorus where you have a little gap and you fill it with like a reverse reverb thing. You might think those are the moments in your track where you're like being weird, but to me, they sound kind of like go-to plugins that everybody has, and they're not that weird. So I think my constructive criticism for you is the opposite of the group that had Save Some Face. I forget what that band was called, but like 3 songs ago, I listened to a song called Save Some Face, and I was like, this is good, but what would happen if you like tried to force this to be even more catchy and even more of a hit? And for you, I'm like, okay, let's assume that like you wrote the hit. Let's assume that part is safe. What would happen if you went through and you like tried to make this a little fucked up? Now, I'm not saying ruin it, but I think you can. I think there's like ways to maybe surprise yourself and like try to do other things. Or like, I'll give you one example. This song has a guitar solo. Now, I think in general, there's like 2 basic styles of guitar solo, and one of them is pretty, and the other one is I'm going to kill you. And this one was like definitely not a I'm going to kill you guitar solo, but I don't actually think it was like as pretty as it needs to be if it's not going to be an I'm going to kill you guitar solo. So I feel like that guy either needs to like shred way more, or you got to hold him to a higher standard. Like listen to the pretty solos on like a John Mayer song, right? Because like that guy sold a lot of records. Now he's not my number one guy, but when I hear a song that's mixed like this, I think of other songs that are like selling that much, doing that much tonnage of sales, and like listen to how pretty the guitar solo is on a John Mayer track. If that's what you're trying to do, you got to finish the job, And if that's not what you're trying to do, I would love to hear it if the solo was just some fucking inexplicable bleeps and bloops. That would be fine with me too. But the only reason I'm sort of going this hard on you is that it's like this song is a very conventionally mixed song, and I feel like there's sort of nothing else to try to do. I mean, to me, it did sound a little bit like whoever mixed and produced this was imitating other mixers and other producers who have sold a lot of hit records. My question for you is like, well, then how come your band name isn't imitating like band names like Coldplay and Maroon 5 and Imagine Dragons? Like, why did you name your band after this like fucked up line in a highly fucked up movie just to be like, well, now we're not doing that anymore? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you got to fuck things up a little more if you're going to call yourself that. You know what I mean? But, you should at least be happy with the fact that your thing is like a very confident sounding, very commercial sounding recording. All right, that was it for the people who submitted their stuff ahead of time. That was all the songs I said I was going to go through. Let me say thank you to everybody who's a part of this. Doing these live streams is my favorite thing about having a YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Thank you to those people who did the super chats and put some money in my pocket. I appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who was putting comments in the chat and like keeping that going. And thank you above all to the people who submitted their work. You know, I'm flattered. Do you even give a shit what I think? You shouldn't take anything I say too seriously. You know, you should only ever listen to me if listening to me helps you want to work on your thing more and makes you get fired up about trying to write new songs and make a new record. And if it's not doing that, you should just ignore what I'm saying. In the meantime, let me just say thanks again for being a part of this. And oh, look at this. Do you prefer YouTube members or Patreon subscribers? I'm going to sub today with money. Oh, I appreciate that. If you already sort of like are a YouTube member for people and you like being a YouTube member, like you know where to look for updates and you like doing it and you find that like interface doable, then stick with what you like. And if you're already doing Patreon and you've got your other Patreon things that you check and you have your moment in your day where you go to Patreon to soak up the updates, then you should do Patreon. Like you should do whichever thing is like already part of your deal. If it's a total tie, if you really don't give a shit, I guess I don't really prefer. I think Patreon looks a little nicer. Like my YouTube, a lot of what I do are like write-ups and links, and like it's not always just videos. Sometimes it's like me writing stuff or like sharing pictures and stuff. And I think some of that looks a little better on Patreon, but everything I put on Patreon, I put on YouTube. Thanks for the question. Okay. Anyway, once again, I really appreciate that everyone's been a part of this, and I want to give a special thank you to the people who submitted music. You know, it takes some guts to do that, and all I'm really doing right now is talking while I try to find my little goodbye clip, my little outro clip that I need to click on. This is always where I have to sort of kill time to get there. It's always a little awkward. All right, cool. I think I found it now, though, so now I'm really going to say goodbye. Thanks again for being a part of this, everybody.